Product managers don't code, they don't design. So what exactly do they do, and why do they get paid up to $1 million a year at some of the biggest tech companies? My name is Alex. I was a group product manager at Google for 4 years, where I was a top interviewer. I've reviewed thousands of PM resumes, interviewed hundreds of candidates, and now I work with proactive PMs to help them land their dream job. In this video, I want to break down why the PM role exists, what PMs actually do day to day, and why product managers are paid so much. Why does the PM role, the product management role, even exist? So the product manager in a typical big tech company, and most startups nowadays, is the person who is the conductor of the orchestra. They're trying to figure out how we organize the people that work for the company in order to deliver some solution for some other group of people who will then pay for that solution in some way. There's obviously a variety of business models, there's a variety of environments and segments and different types of companies, but at the end of the day, it's effectively like a business owner inside the company. The role of the product manager is to actually figure out how the company delivers value to users or customers, and then do that in a better way to more people in more environments, even more success for the users and profit for the business. So the product manager is supposed to literally grow the company while helping more and more of the customers. So how do PMs actually impact business outcomes? Well, it starts by understanding what the customers actually want, and then thinking about what, if anything, of that the company can actually deliver, and how we need to change the company or the products, the things that it sells, in order to service the customer better. My point is that I think we've made product management a little bit more complicated than it has to be. You're just trying to sell stuff that's useful to people. So the things that you're thinking about as a PM are, what should we even do as a company, or what should we even do with this product? And then why should we do any of it? Does it make sense for the customer? Does it make sense for us? Are we going to be around next year if we do this? And will it really solve the customer's problem? Those are the things that product managers are supposed to usually do think about. And then the third element is, especially in more complex environment, is how do we bring in the dozens or hundreds or sometimes thousands of people doing different things, including engineers that code and designers that create the visual elements and the flows, and everybody else that's involved in this? How do we bring them together to actually ship something and actually get something into the users or customers' hands? You often hear, like, are product managers really project managers? And that's the project management part of it, is like actually seeing this thing through. You've got a plan, now do it. But then there's this whole other element, which is figuring out what we should do and why we should do it. That is the bulk of the product manager's responsibility and what they actually work on. You are basically an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. Think of it as a general manager, but also the proprietor of this business. So that's the product manager. But why does it even exist? It exists because engineers could do the job of a product manager, but then they would have to not engineer. They would have to not design and actually code, because they're thinking about what we should do and why should we do it, and trying to organize people to do it. So now they wouldn't be able to actually do their job. Designers, same thing applies. Salespeople, marketing people, customer service, customer success, same issue. You can't do this kind of on the side. I mean, you do when you're doing a one-person startup, but as a big tech company with thousands of people working, you need a dedicated person, a dedicated role to driving the business forward and taking care of the customer. That's the product manager role. Now, what do PMs actually do day to day? Well, we have the theory component of it. That was this question number one. Why does the role exist? Most of the time, day to day for product managers is some communication. You're either speaking to people live, one-on-one, or in a big group, or you're writing emails, or you're writing or revising or commenting on certain documentation or project plans or presentation deck. So 90% of it is some form of communication. 10%, or sometimes 20 or 30% even, if you are really a hotshot PM, is you're actually thinking about these things by yourself or with groups of other cross-functional folks, meaning you're thinking about what should we do and why. A lot of the times you're spending communicating and trying to get people to align with a certain point of view and row in the same direction and actually agree to launch this or iterate that. But 10 to 20 to 30% of the time, you're actually doing the thinking. You're actually thinking, why should we do this and what should we do based on what's going on and where we want to be as a business. Practically what this could mean is sitting down at your computer, reviewing customer data, how customers and users actually interact with your products. Quantitative and qualitative. Qualitative is we ask them questions, and quantitative is the numbers just show us what they actually do. You're looking at all those, you're trying to synthesize it, you're thinking about the resources that are available to the business, the growth of the business, the revenue and the profitability of certain elements of the business, the competitors out there, the environment right now, how effective different aspects of your business are, and you're thinking about it from perspective of awareness, marketing, sales, upselling opportunity, different business models. These are the things that you're evaluating in order to basically provide a path forward. This could also mean reviewing data sets. This could mean understanding the current product design and system design of the business, or maybe diving deeper into it to understand the bottlenecks, to understand any areas that need to be improved, or areas that you just don't understand well enough to be able to steer the ship correctly. And now for the final question. Why are product managers paid so much? $400,000, $500,000, $700,000, $1 million by some big tech companies. Google, Meta, DoorDash, etc. We've gotten $1 million plus offers for all of those companies. Yes, they do exist. Yes, it is not easy to get there, and it's a relatively high group PM or principal PM role, but nonetheless, they do exist. Even relatively junior roles, just as sort of an entry-level product manager in big tech, pay a lot relatively early in the career. You don't have to believe me, but this is the reality. So why? Why is it that they're paid so much? Fundamentally, it's because we find ourselves in a time of ridiculous leverage. Because of software's reach, the internet, AI, the advent of scale is upon us, where you could, in theory, reach billions of people. So anytime you have a system like that, you're going to have such a huge amount of impact generated. You could just look at the profits and the revenues of these big companies, Google, Apple, etc. Highly profitable because it is a software business in a lot of ways. When you have insane levels of revenue and profitability, and you have a small group of people that can actually influence that, of course you have a bit of an upside down demand and supply environment where a few people can have an outsized influence on the result, the impact, and ultimately, at the end of the day, just the revenue and the profit generated. Hopefully this makes sense. If you're looking for your next product management role, we'd love to partner with you. You can schedule time to speak with our team at PCA using the link in the description. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.